council meeting Monday, July 22nd to order. The invocation given by Mr. Gary Stewart, the pledge of allegiance given by myself. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Second item is the approval of previous minutes from July the 8th, 2013. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes from July the 8th?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from July 8th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Now we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. There is no old business, so we'll move to the new business. First item is the public hearing related matters. So at this time, I call the public hearing to order. Mr. Cameron, will you take over, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the time and place for a public hearing in regard to a redevelopment reimbursement agreement proposal that you have in your packets. It's my understanding this has been advertised in the newspaper. It is further my understanding that no written comments have been received. The redevelopment reimbursement agreement is something that is relatively new to Scottsboro, and to my knowledge it's never been done, and is pretty new to the state of Alabama. It's been going on for 9 years. Other cities that have done these kinds of things include Albertville, Fort Payne in the past, and just this year, Leeds, Wetumpka, Millbrook, Northport, Decatur, Bessemer, and Prattville. The principle behind it is that it's better to get part of something than all of nothing. In this particular agreement, a company called Second Street Plaza LLC is a company that owns shopping center. It has bought a shopping center here in Scottsboro. It has a tenant, and they're asking for incentives from the city, and as well as other entities here in the city, to help this business relocate in Scottsboro. They anticipate that the new business will have a minimum of $4 million in taxable sales. Will hire a minimum of 15 to 20 jobs immediately and more later. The agreement has been negotiated between myself, using the basic outlines that other cities do, and the attorneys for this entity out of St. Clair County. What they're asking the city to do is allocate 1/2 of city sales tax revenue derived from the annual net taxable sales generated by the center on the project, not to exceed $500,000 over 10 years. The argument being half of something is better than all of nothing. That was not something that was satisfactory to me, because the first thing I thought that needed to be excluded from this was any educational sales tax. So they excluded any educational sales tax from this proposition. They also excluded any state sales tax. So we're dealing with 1/2 of the non-educational city sales tax part, up to a maximum of $50,000 a year for 10 years. The next thing we negotiated was, what are they going to do with this money? And my feeling was, well, they need to spend at least that much money up front on the bill. So they have committed to spend more than the $500,000 in incentives up front on the building and getting it ready for tenant. It's my understanding they have a tenant in place. If And given the nature of the economy recently, I was also concerned, well, what happens if this new tenant, and I'm not at liberty to give you the name of the new tenant, went out? They would try to fill it with someone else. Now, we don't want to be giving tax incentives to people that are technically already here, this county. So we got provision placed in the agreement that if their original tenant left during the 10-year period and they had a business come forward that was already here in Scottsboro, they wouldn't get any incentive other than the increase in sales tax between the business in its old location and the business in its new location. It is legal under Act Amendment 772 of the legislature. It has a couple of little things. My name, for example, is not Scott Kenner. I don't know where he got that. Also, any agreement would be binding and jurisdiction would be here in Jackson County, not in St. Clair County. The agreement is relatively standard and is constitutional, though it is novel and unique to us here in Scottsboro. If you choose, as a council, to endorse this does not mean that's the end of the line. Because if the council chooses to adopt and approve the execution of the redevelopment reimbursement agreement, we also, in my opinion, would be required to go before the circuit court for a validation procedure, whereby all the documents would be reviewed by the circuit judge of Jackson County and the district attorney of Jackson County to make sure and ensure that everything is legal and order. And only after that you acted and then they acted would there be an agreement. Any questions? Any comments from the public?
What happens if a business comes in there and that business that y'all bring in puts out another business that's in here for 30 years?
As I said, I'm not at liberty, Mr. Carl, I would need to come up front if you have any other questions, and anyone else with questions would need to come up front. I don't know that there is any business in Scottsboro that is currently like the business that is being talked about here. That's not so there might not be some, they might not sell some of the things that some local business currently sells, but I don't know of any business of that kind here in Scottsboro.
If we do endorse it, how long does it take for the city court?
That would be entirely up to the circuit court. I would not presume to set Judge Holt or Judge Grant's schedules for that. Further comments? Being that there are none, Mr. Chairman, this public hearing is closed. The next proceedings that the council can make are to approve the redevelopment reimbursement agreement as the next step, if you wish, or to table.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the reimbursement agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, I feel anytime that we can bring business and jobs to Scottsboro, that's what it's all about, that's what we hear every day people want, then I think that we need to try to move forward. And if you're in a business, you know, you're established and it's not competition, it's just more income and more revenue for the city and for citizens to be able to do more good. And I think that we don't need to hold back anytime that we have an opportunity to have people come in to do business in Scottsboro. I feel like that's what it's all about, that's what we're here for, and I encourage us to move forward with it.
I personally think that I've been looking at this building sitting there empty for so many years, I can't remember how long, and wondering why someone wouldn't go into that building. And my understanding that the other company that had leased, held on to that lease to prevent competition. That's all gone now. And it's a shame to have that big building sitting out on US 72, with people going by it every day from all over the world, and seeing it empty, which gives us a reputation of having a town that may be dying or something, and it's not true. So if we can put something in there, and we're trying to do that, and we will do that, it's the right thing to do.
Does anyone else have any other discussion? We'll do a roll call vote on this. Ms. Phillips, we call, please.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. McCurry,
Yes.
Mr. Gary Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Patrick Stewart.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is consider the sale of recycled material. Ms. Phillips, you want to read over that for us again, please, before we go on?
The solid waste department is in the middle of disposing of 100 tons of recycling material. We bid this out and did not receive any bids. It is recommended by the bid review committee that the bid be negotiated because no bids were received.
The solid waste department is requesting that the council consider the sale of approximately 100 ton of curbside recycling. We have checked with vendors that have purchased from us before, and right now we feel that $12.50 is a good price.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to consider the sale of recycled material?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The next item is to consider the IDV appointments. Ms. Phillips, will you read the folks that turned in the name for this appointment, please?
We received requests from Mr. Stuart Dawson, Mr. Kim Lamy, and Mr. Harold Brookshire.
This time, do I have any nominations for this appointment?
I'd like to nominate Stuart Dawson.
Do I have any other nominations? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next item on the agenda, excuse me, is the Tourism Advisory Board appointments. Ms. Phillips, will you go through it, Councilman, and get their appointments, please?
Mr. Smith,
Yes, I'd like to nominate someone who I think on this particular board would have all kind of insight and information and connections to help this board get off the ground on this state. I'd like to nominate J.P. Parson.
Ms. McCurry,
I have spoken with Susan Barron, who is very interested in serving on this position. Most of you know Susan, how involved she is with Northeast, and also the whole community, and her vivaciousness to see us grow and move forward. So I would like to nominate Susan Barron.
Mr. Gary Stewart,
Yes, I thought long and hard about it. I really wanted to appoint someone who has a business and vested interest in this area. And I would like to appoint Rob Carlisle to the position.
Mr. Patrick Stewart,
My appointment goes to Kelly Goodowens. He's done a lot for the city, and I appreciate what he does.
Brett's not here, but he asked me to announce his appointment. He selected Wendy Howell Wilson.
We'll go to reports. The mayor's not here tonight, so we'll go. Mr. Smith, do you have anything?
Yes, if you remember last week, I mentioned the house that had the creek underneath it that was fogged in. And I asked the council to consider us doing a letter, drafting a letter to our national representatives to approach FEMA and see if they would assist in the money that we had left over, if they could reappropriate that money to take care of this one small situation. It's not small to the person that owns it, but it's just one house. I've got pictures and I gave you copies of the pictures tonight. I think we all need to be here, Mr. Miller included, to approve doing this letter. And so if we could, take these pictures, again, talk to the person, and maybe we could discuss them under night, and then draft a letter to our national representatives asking us to help us accomplish this. And vote to do it. I guess, would it have to be a resolution, or just a resolution?
Give me a rest.
Our next council meeting, after discussing it, our next work session.
Okay. Mr. Stewart, also, well, Mr. Craig.
I'd like to address something, and Mr. Kemper, if I'm out of line, please stop me or correct me. There was a letter in my packet, and Mr. Blizzard, you might know about this, and so I'm going to read this letter. It says to Mayor Melton Potter and council members, enclosed are pictures of horses being boarded at the landfill at Martintown. I would like to ask the question of who bears liability for these horses should they escape their enclosure again. I would like to think that the city of Scottsboro elected representatives would not put the city at risk for a lawsuit. There happens to be a trailer park in close proximity to these horses, not to mention Highway 72. Should they happen upon my property again, I suppose that I would be within my rights to shoot them. But I would rather not have to do that, thank you. The letter is unsigned, anonymous, which to me it means it should be thrown in the trash. But I just want some clarification from our side, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Blizzard, but if you could address it for us so we have an understanding.
As probably most of the council is aware, we had purchased some property a few months ago. We rented that property out through a legal signed document. Mr. Kennemer approved these horses were on that property as part of the landowner that had rented from us. But since then, the horses have been removed. But we do have a legal signed document from the person that's renting the house and the property from the city. And we receive rent every month
Okay.
for that.
So he was responsible for making sure his horses didn't get out, and they did get out. So this must be someone around, but the horses have been removed.
They have.
I just didn't.
But it was part of the agreement fee to put them there, but, you know.
Okay. Like I say, when it's anonymous, I feel like it just needs to be not, but you have to give somebody the right to at least acknowledge and get two sides to every story, because there's always two sides. And I knew that we were probably doing what we were supposed to do, but I just wanted my questions answered.
That's the truth, and that's the story behind it.
The particular land involved is land adjacent
To the landfill,
to
that's
land
on the landfill.
And it's land that we had purchased.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There's no landfill where the horses were, and it was part of the agreement with the grant that we have.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Blizzard.
Gary, you have anything? I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know we had tonight's meeting had a lot of substance to it, and on that building, I'd just like to say that I've been back for about 7 years, and that building's been empty ever since. And I believe at one time, the Alabama Department of Transportation had done a study on the traffic on Highway 72 compared to Interstate 59. We actually had more traffic on Highway 72 than Interstate 59. So folks coming through Scottsboro, they see an empty building, and that's one of the ones that you'd see if you were ever stopped there at the traffic lights. So looking forward to getting a tenant in there, and hopefully bring some folks that don't live in Scottsboro to Scottsboro to do some shopping. So I want to thank y'all again tonight for coming out. For that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not to vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. We're adjourned. Thank y'all.